Do you want to know the real reason Manchester United signed Senne Lammens? It wasn't the reflex saves. It wasn't the clean sheets. It was one number that quietly placed him in the top 1% of goalkeepers in world football. And almost nobody was talking about it. When Senne Lammens arrived on deadline day for just over £18 million, the reaction was polite, not explosive, not euphoric, just polite. Because that summer wasn't about goalkeepers, it was about attackers, statement signings, pace, flair, potential. While fans argued about who would score the goals, United's recruitment department was studying something far less glamorous: chaos. Because if you watched Manchester United over the last few seasons, a pattern kept appearing. Not in possession, not in build-up, but inside the 6-yard box. Opposition teams stopped trying to outplay United. They delivered early. They crowded the keeper. They hunted second balls. Under Andre Onana, United were conceding nearly 17% of the corners they faced. His cross-stopping rate hovered around 5%, below league average. That doesn't sound dramatic, but football isn't about dramatic numbers. It's about margins. 5% versus 13% doesn't look huge on paper until you understand what it changes. Because when United's analysts looked at Senne Lammens in Belgium, they didn't see a tall 23-year-old with decent reflexes. They saw a statistical outlier. 13.2% of crosses stopped, top 1% in Europe. League average sits around 6 to 7%. Onana just over 5, Lammens at 13. That isn't an upgrade. That's a structural shift. And it wasn't just aerial dominance. In his final season at Antwerp, Senne Lammens posted a plus 14.5 goals prevented figure. That means he saved nearly 15 more goals than an average goalkeeper would have from the exact same shots. 15. That isn't a purple patch. That's inevitability. This is where most fans and analysts diverge. Fans remember moments, the fingertip save, the penalty stop, the camera-ready leap. Data departments focus on what doesn't happen, the cross that never becomes a header, the rebound that never drops, the panic that never spreads. When United studied Senne Lammens, they weren't asking if he could make spectacular saves. They were asking something very different. Can he remove chaos? That question led directly to Everton. 10 corners, bodies packed into the 6-yard box, in-swingers aimed directly under the bar. It wasn't subtle, it was a stress test. David Moyes admitted it afterwards. The plan was to crowd him, target him, force a mistake. He even said they thought the goalkeeper wouldn't cope, before calling him bloody brilliant. 10 corners faced, multiple high claims and punches, 0 chaos, 0 goals. There was one reflex save from Michael Keane that looked dramatic in the moment. Statistically, it prevented 0.86 expected goals in that match alone. Not a miracle. Baseline. Here's the part that should really make you pause. Andre Onana averaged an error leading to a goal every 1,020 minutes. Since becoming the first-choice goalkeeper, Senne Lammens has played close to 2,000 minutes without committing a single error leading to a goal. Not one. In a league built on pressing traps, chaos, and forcing mistakes, not one. That changes everything. Because defenders play differently when they trust what's behind them. Fullbacks tuck in tighter. Centre-backs attack first contact instead of worrying about second balls. Midfielders recover instead of panicking. Confidence spreads. Clean sheets stop feeling lucky. They start feeling expected. United didn't just buy a goalkeeper. They bought predictability. They traded ball-playing flair for box control. Senne Lammens goes long 52% of the time. Onana was closer to 36. That isn't regression. It's risk management. Fewer short passes under pressure means fewer high turnovers. Fewer turnovers mean fewer emergency recoveries. Fewer emergencies mean fewer goals conceded. It's not sexy, but stability wins leagues. There's a reason elite recruitment teams hunt market inefficiencies. The best signings rarely look dramatic on announcement day. They look obvious in hindsight. While fans debated whether 18 million was enough for a starting Premier League goalkeeper, United's analysts were studying percentile ranks, cross-claim efficiency, post-shot expected goals minus goals allowed. The trend said one thing: this wasn't form, this wasn't hype, this wasn't a gamble, it was a profile. Everton wasn't the surprise, it was the confirmation. And that's where this becomes uncomfortable. Because for years, The Premier League identified one specific weakness in Manchester United: deliver under the bar, crowd the keeper, force the punch, attack the rebound. Simple, brutal, effective. So when Senne Lammens arrived, the assumption was that he would need to adapt, adjust to physicality, adjust to tempo, adjust to pressure. But what if adaptation was never the question? Because crosses stopped isn't stylistic. Shot prevention isn't branding. Reaction speed doesn't care about stadium size. And this is where the Fluke narrative falls apart. If a goalkeeper has one great night, you call it form. If he has two, you call it confidence. If he posts a plus 14.5 season, then leads the Premier League in expected goals prevented per 90, then shuts down a deliberate set-piece assault, that's not form, that's replication. And replication is what data departments bet on, because football at the highest level isn't driven by emotion, it's driven by probability. United didn't buy the highlight reel, they bought the probability curve. On average, Senne Lammens prevents around 0.2 goals more per match than expected. That sounds insignificant. Until you multiply it. Across a 38-game season, that's 7 to 8 goals. 7 to 8 goals is the difference between fourth and second, between Europa League and Champions League, sometimes between second and first. Margins, always margins. This is the difference between spectacular and sustainable. Spectacular reacts, sustainable predicts. Lammens doesn't just make saves, he ends situations. You see it in how he attacks crosses before they dip, in how he holds shots instead of parrying them into danger. In the absence of rebound goals, no second phases, no scrambles, no panic. And that changes behavior in front of him. Centre-backs stop retreating toward their own goal. They step forward. They trust the space behind them. That trust compresses the defensive block. Compression shrinks passing lanes. Shrinking lanes suffocates transitions, all from one number, 13.2%. It sounds ridiculous that something so small can reshape a team's defensive psychology, but the best data isn't loud. It's structural. Here's another number: 1,980 minutes. 0 errors leading to goals. The league average sits closer to 1 every 1,000 minutes. Each one of those errors shifts a game state. Momentum, narrative, pressure. Senne Lammens doesn't offer that opening. Remove cheap goals and belief builds. Because belief in football is evidence-based. Defenders stop flinching, midfielders relax, attackers stay patient late in games. This is the ripple effect. United deserve credit here. It would have been easy to chase the modern archetype, the quarterback goalkeeper, the build-up conductor. Instead, they chose risk aversion. Lammens goes long when needed, 52% of the time. That's not anti-football, it's anti-chaos. United are rediscovering the value of boredom, control, predictability. For years, they tried to play like a super team without the foundation of one. High lines, aggressive build-up, progressive risk. Elite teams don't just attack well, they absorb pressure calmly. They kill moments, they win ugly. That's what data departments obsess over. Not how high you fly, but how rarely you fall. Senne Lammens' profile screams low variance, low chaos, high repeatability. That's why Everton wasn't shocking. It was expected. The model said he would dominate in swinging corners. He did. The model said he would prevent above-average goals. He has. The model said he would reduce error frequency. He has. This isn't hope. It's trend lines. The data flagged the inefficiency, identified the outlier, projected the translation. We just hadn't caught up yet. And here's where it becomes bigger than one player. Because when a team loses an obvious weakness, opponents hesitate. And hesitation in the Premier League is fatal. For years, the blueprint against United was clear. Force the press, deliver early, attack the keeper. Now that blueprint looks outdated. If you can't dominate the 6-yard box, if your in-swingers get claimed cleanly, if your easiest route to chaos disappears, you lose one of the simplest ways to hurt them. Everton didn't test him politely. They went after him deliberately. 10 corners, bodies on him, deliveries under the bar, and it failed. So imagine preparing to face United now. You look for volatility. You search for chaos. Instead, you see high claims, held shots, long distributions when needed, 0 errors across nearly 2,000 minutes. That doesn't scream vulnerability, it screams stability. And stability is the one thing United haven't had in years. Football narratives wait for trophies. Data narratives ask one question. If nothing changes, what happens next? If Lammens' trends hold, this isn't a purple patch. It's a foundation. Foundations don't show up in highlight reels. They show up in league tables. You don't need spectacular to win titles. You need repeatable. You need boring. You need inevitability. Old Trafford doesn't erupt when a keeper claims a corner. But subconsciously, everyone exhales. Across a season, those exhalations add up. Which brings us to the uncomfortable thought. If the data was right about this, then this isn't just United improving. It's the league miscalculating. When you stabilize the floor beneath expensive forwards, you turn draws into wins. You change expectations. Expectations shift pressure. Pressure shifts performance. We saw a young goalkeeper. The analysts saw a structural correction. And if that correction holds, this stops being a clever signing. It becomes a problem the rest of the league has to solve, because there's a difference between playing against a keeper in form and playing against a keeper who removes your plan. And that is a very different problem.